Welcome back to the game plan. No Mueller here. It's time to review a few different things this episode. The highest paid player in MLB history has just signed a new contract, making him that. The college football playoff bracket is set now, and a few NFL games will be reviewed, so let's get into it. Well, the Juan Soto bidding is officially over. The New York Mets have signed Juan Soto to the largest deal in MLB history as of now. Juan Soto signs the Mets for 15 years, $765 million plus signing bonus. But my God, what a overpaid deal, but still it's not about the money. It's about the fact that Juan Soto is now a New York Met straight from the New York Yankees. And while the Yankees fans are getting mad because Juan Soto's apparently a traitor after 1 year and he has to show them all his loyalty, still Juan Soto is going right across to Queens, going to play for the Mets. And while I don't think the money is the greatest thing in this deal, Juan Soto is a top player in baseball. The Mets have Lindor, obviously, who's also been recently a top player in baseball, but Juan Soto is really just going to elevate them. You know, he could even win a World Series for them in the next couple of years. It's just an unbelievable move for Steve Cohen and the New York Mets, and it's something that's definitely still breaking in the market, especially last year with the big Ohtani deal. So everyone thought that was really overpaid. Now you look at this, Juan Soto gets paid even more. It's ridiculous in a way. With the entire market for baseball just crashing and breaking through with all this money being spent. But to focus on the Mets side of it, it's a great player, one of the best in the league. And, I mean, you got him now as your new left fielder. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Moving on to the college football playoffs, it has been set. So, our first matchup, I'm going to predict the entire first round today. The first matchup we have is number 5 Texas versus number 12 Clemson. And while Clemson just had a great win versus SMU 34-31, I have Texas here. Texas just the overall way better team. Better seating, home field advantage at Kyle Field, and I mean they're not playing around anymore. They just lost to Georgia and Gunnar Stockton. I mean, I don't think this is a joke to Texas anymore. I think they're gonna come in here. They're gonna make a absolute show of Clemson and show everyone that they're here for a natty. Moving on to the second matchup, we have number 10 Indiana versus number 7 Notre Dame. And while Indiana's been pretty good all year, I have Notre Dame winning this one. I just think the defense is too overpowering. I think Riley Leonard will do his job on offense, and I think overall the team will just be much better than Indiana plays. They'll kind of swarm them. You know, Notre Dame had that really bad loss to Northern Illinois early in the year. But ever since then, they've looked pretty flawless. Benjamin Morrison, the corners, looked great. And I just don't see a world where Notre Dame doesn't win this. Next up, and probably the best matchup of the first round, we got number 8 Ohio State University versus number 9 Tennessee. Honestly, this is a tough matchup considering Ohio State dropped a lot from where they were, and Tennessee has been pretty consistent all year. Honestly, a lot of people are going to pick OSU here. I'm going to go Tennessee. I just think they're going to pull something off. I think they're the more consistent football team, not the better football team, the more consistent football team, which will propel them in this game considering Ohio State just had a really, really bad loss. And this is kind of Ryan Day playing for his job at Ohio State, and I think he's going to lose it, and he's going to lose his job in the offseason. Now, for the final game of the first round, Penn State versus SMU. SMU did barely get into the college football playoff, but I think they get sent on their way right after the first game. I think Penn State played really well against Oregon, much better than people thought they were, and I think it's just an easy game for Penn State. They're going to absolutely swarm SMU. And a lot of Big Ten teams are going to be good in this, but it's going to be basically Big Ten versus SEC. That's what the playoffs is going to be. But, yeah, I do have Penn State there. We're going to take a break, but after my break, I'll go over the 3 NFL games my upset for next week, and the players of the week. We'll be right back. Okay, so my mistake. We only have 2 NFL games today, but still, nonetheless, we're gonna get into them here. Starting with what I think is a game of the year contender: the Rams versus the Bills yesterday. Buffalo coming in 10-2, while the Rams coming in 6-6, and the LA Rams pull off the upset in a 44-42 game. The stats going: Matthew Stafford 320 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen 342 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns as well, so 6 in total. Puka Nacua having his best game of the season with 12 receptions, 162 yards, and 2 total touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. And Khalil Shakir of the Buffalo Bills getting 5 receptions, 106 yards, and a touchdown. Overall, the Bills really did nothing wrong here. They just got off to a very slow start. Josh Allen obviously making history, being the first player ever to have 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing. I mean, Josh Allen is the clear favorite MVP. I mean, if you're looking at it with full fairness to guys like Jalen Hurts, who's done great all year, Lamar Jackson, who's also done great all year, nobody's been on the level of Josh Allen, especially with his team's caliber being a lot worse than last year. But getting away Stephon Diggs really did help this team become better. Josh Allen played historically. Puka Nacua had one of the best games of his career even. And the Rams win there. Final game for the NFL. The LA Chargers, they play a pretty good defensive game, but they cannot beat the Chiefs. They come close, but they don't have Ladd McConkey, who's a big push for them usually. They lose to the Chiefs 19-17 on a game-winning field goal. Stats go: Mahomes, 210 passing yards and a touchdown. Justin Herbert, 213 and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 5 receptions, 45 yards. And Josh Palmer, 6 receptions, 78 yards. So although this is a very low-scoring game and there's really no offense, it was still a very entertaining game because, I mean, this Chargers team is showing every week more and more that they are coming close to that top of the AFC spot, almost taking down teams like the Chiefs without the key players like Ladd McConkey's been for them. My prediction is that the Chargers, they're obviously going to get into the playoffs. I think they're going to beat the Chiefs if they face them. I just don't think there's a world where this Chiefs team gets any more cheeky wins over the Chargers. I think Jim Harbaugh has done an amazing job with this team, and I think they're ready to take that next step. So my top 3 players of the week. At number 3, I'm going to have the backup running back for the Seahawks who had to step up this week, Zach Carbonet, going for 134 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. He played great this week. He really elevated Seattle, him and JSN both, and Seattle got a big win against Arizona, and they are leading the division. Number 2, I have Jordan Addison and the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota came to play this week, and most of it was because of Addison, going for 8 receptions, 133 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had the trifecta. I mean, the best game Addison has probably ever had. Overall-wise, not just having a lot of receiving yards and no touchdowns or having a bunch of touchdowns and no receiving yards. He had them both. He had it all in one game. Very great performance for Addison. Hopefully he can carry this into the rest of the season and into the playoffs because Minnesota's bound to make it. And number 1, talked about him earlier, I have Puka Nacua with 12 receptions, 162 yards and a touchdown receiving and a touchdown rushing. Unbelievable game for Nacua, one of the best of his career. One of the most receiving yards he's ever had in a game. Nacua has been playing unbelievable since he came back from injury for the Rams. The Rams trying to fight for a wild card spot here. I honestly think they can get it. The team is doing really well. They just knocked off Buffalo, who's a top team in this league. I don't see anything stopping them. Final topic for the day, my upset of the week next week is going to be the Dolphins beating the Texans. And yes, the Texans are home. Yes, the momentum's in their favor. But the Dolphins looked very good in that come from behind game against the Jets. Although it's the Jets still. And the Texans have looked really inconsistent all year long. I feel like this is a game where their defense is going to be swarmed by the Miami offense. Give me A-Chain a touchdown. Give me Tyreek Hill a touchdown. Maybe even Jalen Waddle gets a touchdown in that game. But I have Miami winning pretty big. That'll be it for the game plan. Next episode will be NFL and college football based, talking about the upcoming week of each sport, including the college football playoffs and nearing the NFL playoffs. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on The Game Plan.